Good morning, everyone. This is Jeff with the Cyber Pro podcast, where industry leaders share their insights. It's 5 questions in 9 minutes because hackers never sleep. So let's jump right in. Question number 1. Robert, good morning. In a few sentences, please tell us who you are and what you do.
My name is Robert Thomas. I am a retired U.S. government intelligence officer. I spent about half my life living outside of the U.S. in little places where a bar of soap is a major medical miracle. Currently, I manage the 180A consulting company. We're a boutique cybersecurity firm. We have customers all over the United States. As a matter of fact, we're kicking off an engagement with the state of Mississippi to take over cybersecurity for their healthcare network as of the 20th of this month. Very excited about that.
Very interesting. It's amazing where cybersecurity has expanded to places that we wouldn't have imagined just a few years ago. Question number 2. Yeah. Question number 2. What is the best thing about being an entrepreneur and being a cybersecurity professional during these unprecedented times?
Well, in my opinion, the best thing about being a cybersecurity professional, obviously I've been around the business for a while, have a little gray hair, but is the ability to mentor and bring new folks into the industry. That's really what gets me out of bed in the morning. It's funny, I have a bunch of folks who I have brought into the business 20, 25, 30 years ago, who I'm still in contact with today, who are now leaders in their niches in the industry.
Couldn't have put it any better. It's a branch of specialty where only now I think we're starting to standardize things, and even though we are starting to standardize things, that changes very quickly, and what we feel is a standard goes out the window almost weekly. So
absolutely,
yeah, mentorship is so important. And on that, question number 3, we hear from other cyber industry leaders that security is not only a top concern today, but only getting bigger. Tell us what that means to you.
It means that cybersecurity professionals can no longer afford to geek out. We need to be key players on the business side of the house. I know, as an example, when I talk to business leadership folks, I try never to use the word security. Always working within their framework of business problem, risk management, risk mitigation, and compliance automation, the biggies that matter to the business.
Yeah, and on that, which leads us perfectly into question number 4, what insights about cybersecurity and risk management, what really works, would you like to share with our community?
The best thing I can say for my peers and for folks who are on their way up and people who are smarter than me is you never stop learning. It's amazing. I get up in the morning and I spend at least an hour, sometimes 2, following up on things that are happening in the business and things that are going to matter to my customers and my business in the future. So that's where my head is at. I hope other industry leaders don't try to sit back and mouth worthless platitudes. I hope that they stay fresh and stay focused on the evolving threats.
Yeah. So I'd like to ask you, maybe off the cuff, with your level of experience and ability to think outside the box, what is it that leaders today need to focus on in order to stay fresh?
Good question. Web services security is a huge thing. It's so nuanced and so powerful. The OWASP top 10 web services security controls that most of us are familiar with. I don't know that a lot of folks are familiar with the fact that OWASP recently came out with a top 10 API security framework. When I was the CISO for the county of San Diego, California, we actually worked with OWASP on that standard before it was pushed out. And these are major things that are going to have an enormous impact. The County of San Diego has an enormous healthcare infrastructure for its 4.5 million citizens, and a lot of automated data connections and data exchanges, which are API based. And from the business perspective, those API security standards per se can drive a lot of value in your automated payment gateways, where you can use data validation and payload inspection and message schema validation to make sure that you're not accepting requests for payment that are invalid and having to send them back and get them corrected, and you end up paying for them more than once inadvertently. So there's a lot of business value that is not pure play security stuff that can really help the business if you're focusing on business problems and not focusing on our shiny technology.
That's a very good perspective of looking at things. Sometimes what we think is directly in front of us and the most important thing is not always the most important thing. So I appreciate that perspective. Thank you. And question number 5, our fun question. What is your favorite piece, and you've been thinking about it because you're laughing, of retro technology that makes you smile?
Boy, my favorite piece of retro technology, I have 2 actually. The 3COM 3C509 Ethernet card. If you think about it, Ethernet cards were about 18 inches long in the beginning. And then 3COM put that entire card with all the wires soldered to it into a single ASIC chip in the 509C network card. It was a quantum leap forward in technology, and that's very retro now. The other thing is IRC chat. As we become more and more focused on security in our day-to-day lives outside of the business, it's interesting for me to watch most of my peers going back to IRC as a communications medium.
Very
Who would have
interesting.
thought? Who would have thought? The unlimited peer-to-peer data transfer technology known as IRC.
Things do tend to have a way of coming around. For those of our viewers who wanted to perhaps learn a little bit more about you, get in contact with you, what's the best way to do that, Robert?
Our website is thesecretciso.com, and we post content up there for anybody to use. We published a series of articles on LinkedIn last year called The Year of Anti-Ransomware. We're doing a big group of articles for LinkedIn now called Cybersecurity ROI for the CEO, focused at small and mid-sized businesses. They would look over there, and they can get in contact with me through LinkedIn or through thesecretciso.com.
Wonderful. Well, thank you again for your time this morning, Robert. For those of you who want to, we at the Cyber Pro podcast post about 3 or 4 episodes every week on really specific topics like this. So thank you for your time today. Again, my name is Jeff. We look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Nice to meet you.